Hello, atheists.
Hi.
Today I'm going to educate you on how to be better atheists.
Okay, sure.
Now, this may come as a surprise and perhaps even be a little condescending, given the fact that I'm not atheist, but there are just too many atheists in the world that don't do atheism well, so I thought I'd help you guys out. So, here are my top tips for atheists.
Buckle up, heathens. This Christian is gonna show us how to be better atheists.
Tip number 1. Redefine your atheism. Seriously, for most atheists, take your current definition of atheism and get rid of it. When you say atheism, if what you mean by that is, I believe there's no God, then you need to hop off that atheist train and get on a new one.
And right off the bat, you don't even understand atheism and you define it incorrectly. I can't think of a single atheist that I know personally, or even prominent atheists like Richard Dawkins or Bill Maher, that define atheism as the belief that there is no God. Most atheists define it as a lack of a belief in God or gods. Take me, for example. I don't believe there is no God, but rather I simply lack a belief in God. Sure, there may be some atheists out there who go around saying, there is absolutely no God, but that would be silly, and I doubt many atheists hold that position.
See, if you want to make it hard for yourself in a debate, make a claim or hold a belief that God does not exist. Okay, it doesn't put you in the best position, unless you want to lose the argument, in which case it's peachy.
I agree that such an atheist wouldn't be able to prove that there isn't a God any more than you can prove that there is a God.
See, such a belief is super arrogant and places a burden of proof on you to demonstrate that God does not exist, which you will fail splendidly at.
I agree. Now, are you gonna prove that there's a God or no?
I understand that it might be really appealing to be a militant atheist who's so sure of themselves and of the fact that God doesn't exist, but all it really does is make you seem really irrational. Instead, redefine your atheism to be one that rejects theistic beliefs or claims made about the existence of God. Basically, telling a theist that your belief in God and the evidence you have provided is not compelling enough to have me believe the same way. That way, the burden of proof remains with the theist, and you, the atheist, are now less arrogant and vastly more reasonable. Tip number 2. Be consistent. You, as an atheist, likely froth at the opportunity to dismiss, debunk, destroy, whatever you want to call it, a theist who claims to know God exists.
How'd you know? Are you a psychic?
Okay, but in the same manner you do that to theists, equally do it to the atheists who ignore tip number 1 and claim that God does not exist. Really, just don't have double standards for meeting the burden of proof.
Again, I don't know any atheists who claim there is no God. I don't know if you're intentionally strawmanning the atheist position, or if you're simply ignorant.
If an irrational atheist wants to claim they know God doesn't exist, don't let them off easy. Examine their argument, and then dismiss, debunk, or destroy it for not meeting the burden of proof, as it no doubt did not, nor cannot. Tip number 3. Don't redefine your atheism as a lack of belief in God, please.
Wait, what?
This is the most frustrating version of atheism of them all. Seriously, atheists, do you think about what it sounds like when you say that? It's just so meaningless. I mean, I'm sure you lack a lot of things. Who cares? Seriously, this one really gets to me.
I'm confused. First, you say atheists shouldn't claim that there is no God, and now you say they shouldn't define atheism as a lack of a belief in God? Are you just trolling?
I have a lack of belief in God. It's like, what?
Let me ask you, do you believe in any of the Hindu gods, or Mohammed, Santa Claus, or the flying spaghetti monster? You can either A, say they don't exist, in which case you'd carry the burden of proof, or B, say you lack a belief in them, which would be the intellectually honest position to take until proven otherwise. This is such a simple concept that you don't seem to understand.
I liken this statement to someone saying they have a lack of confidence for a job interview tomorrow or a lack of food in their stomach. There's nothing profound about those statements. They just have something missing that they need.
Lacking in and of itself isn't a bad thing. It depends on the context. For example, lacking pain and debt is a good thing. Likewise, lacking a belief in God, Thor, or the Easter Bunny is also a good thing. However, if any of these things exist, and they are proven to exist, I will accept and believe them. But until then, I won't claim that they absolutely don't exist, because there's no way for me to know with 100% certainty. But the funny thing is, since you are a theist, by definition, you carry the burden of proof, because theism is defined as the belief in a god or gods.
If you recognize you have something missing from your belief system, which is essentially what a lack of belief in God is, an absence in your mind, then you could either stand around your whole life and tell everybody about this grand absence of belief you have, or, like a hungry person fixes their current state of being by eating, you could do something to fix your current state of mind, like read the Bible or pray. But you shouldn't really expect anyone to think you have some profound, well, I'd say belief, but apparently you don't have one of those. I mean, my toothbrush lacks a belief in God, but nobody applauds its wisdom. So if you claim to have a lack of belief in God, thank you for saying something without really saying anything. The whole focus of that statement is your state of mind. It doesn't actually say anything about the existence of God, so ultimately it doesn't really contribute anything useful to the debate. And when people say they are lacking something like sleep or energy or food, usually they say it in a complaining sort of way. So atheists, when you say you have a lack of belief in God, are you complaining? In summary, say something that actually means something.
I'm going to read a quote by Sam Harris on the term atheism. Atheism is a term that should not even exist. No one ever needs to identify himself as a non-astrologer or a non-alchemist. We do not have words for people who doubt that Elvis is still alive or that aliens have traversed the galaxy only to molest ranchers and their cattle. Atheism is nothing more than the noises reasonable people make in the presence of unjustified religious beliefs.
Now, I hope everything I just said was explained very clearly. If you lack a belief that you understood it all, let me know. Tip number 4. For the atheists who ignore tips number 1 to 3, and no doubt there will be many, for some reason atheists like to cling to irrationality, please don't say God doesn't exist or you lack a belief because God isn't able to be proven through science, as the only way we can know if something is true is through science. Such a statement is self-defeating. Please explain how you know through science that things can only be known through science.
I'm not even sure what you're going on about at this point.
Finally, tip number 5. Accept the fact that by following the previous tips, you won't get to be the exciting militant atheist or be part of mainstream atheism, but that's okay. What you will be is vastly more rational in presenting your atheism.
Listen, Richard Dawkins said it himself that he's not even a 7 on the Dawkins scale. So my question to you is, where do you find yourself on this chart? If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share. Thanks.